Thank you guys for listening. Our sponsor today is Chimera Coffee. Go to chimeracoffee.com. Type in the coupon code Show the Art and save some money on some nootropic infused coffee from the Dominican Republic. Now let's get to the show. We have a great interview we did with Ken Flo.
Yo, let's get to that interview
Florian.
already, man.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Show the Art podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Abe. This is Ames. It's about to go down.
Oh, we threw it the other way around, huh?
Hey, man.
You didn't even let me finish doing my little retweet of
man. Let me get it started.
Flow, man.
Ames is on Instagram as per usual.
I'm on the gram.
He's on Instagram, and he's updating a picture. What is this picture of?
It's our guest for today, brother.
Who is our guest today?
The one and only. He is a UFC vet.
Uh-huh.
He is a Fox Sports analyst.
Tyron Woodley?
No, not Mr. Woodley.
Dominic Cruz?
No, we got Mr. Personality himself.
Oh, snap.
Mr. Kenny Florian.
Oh.
Kenny, how you doing?
Okay, he's not on yet. He's not on yet. He's going to call
We just want to wet the tip a little bit, guys. We want to get you a little excited.
Excite,
if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
So he's jumping on with us, but we're going to get this started because Abe wants to let something out.
I got a gripe.
No, what kind of grapes?
Dude, Verizon.
Oh, shout out to Verizon.
No.
They're doing it. No?
Shots at Verizon.
Oh, shots.
I'm about to throw
Bust shots.
I'm about to bust shots at Verizon right now.
Nah.
I'm calling Verizon out. All right.
What they doing,
Boom,
man?
break it down. I just moved, right?
Thank you, Verizon.
Over the weekend, I moved.
Okay.
So you gotta call up and switch things. Hey, we want our internet to the new place. Cool. Should be easy, right?
Yeah.
Wrong.
Oh.
So,
what happened? You try to make the power switch and access denied?
All we have is internet. That's all I have. Fios internet. I don't want TV. I don't want your landline. Nobody uses landline anymore.
What is a landline?
I have a cell phone.
Okay.
So we call up last week,
mm-hmm.
all right? The week before the weekend that we're moving, all right?
Yeah.
And they're giving us the runaround.
Oh.
You're giving me the runaround?
You don't give
I'm
Abe
the king of the runaround.
He is, man.
Dude.
He gets down.
I can see right through the runaround.
He sees right through it.
So they're giving me the runaround.
Superman.
They're saying, oh, you need to cancel your contract if you're moving. But if you move and if you move and you keep Verizon, we won't charge you the cancellation fee.
Okay.
So no matter what, when you move, you have to cancel your old and start anew. But if you start anew with them, they waive the cancellation fee.
Okay.
So it's not your fault that you're moving.
Yeah.
And you want
and you still want the services.
But if it's too much money because now it's in a different area, you have to pay that $150 bonus. So we're like, all right, what can we do about this? Everyone was giving us the runaround. This guy's telling me we're paying $49.99 a month. This guy's telling me, oh, now it's going to be $59 a month for a slower speed, which is fine. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I'm hacking computers at home.
Yeah.
I only need Netflix streaming. Give me the Netflix streaming. That's
Give me what I need,
Give
brother.
me NBA TV streaming. I don't need hacker streaming. Okay, I don't need that 30
Flow
up.
Sports, that Flow grappling.
That's
stream.
it. That's all I ask for.
UFC stream.
Fight Pass streaming. That's all, baby.
Netflix chilling.
YouTube / Show the Art X streaming. That's it.
OnIt.com stream.
That's it, man.
That's all.
So
he's not asking for a lot.
Not much. So
he's not asking for the virginity or anything like that.
Not at all.
Not at all. It's not even that hard, man.
So it's like a runaround. It's like a merry-go-round, but like in hell.
So they got you in 50-50.
Dude,
right now.
they had me in 50-50. I like that reference.
You like that, right?
Jiu-Jitsu reference.
Thank you.
They had me in the lockdown.
Oh.
I'm trying to escape. My knee's hurting.
It's probably hurting.
Yeah.
It's hurting for squirts.
They're going for the electric chair. Not even yet. They're just putting me in the lockdown. It kind of hurts.
And they're just trolling you with the lockdown.
They're just trolling me. And it's like the same talk. Run around. So I hang up the phone. We're like, all right, let's explore other options.
Okay.
The other option was like, all right, maybe we do cancel this, pay that $150, but then we're gonna have to start a new contract with some other company, and pay their startup fee.
Fugazi stuff.
Hey, let's just pay this extra $10 a month.
I feel you, man.
So we call back up. The W calls back up. The wife calls back up.
Oh.
right? I put the big guns on the phone.
The balls.
I put the big guns on the phone. And then they give her a worse runaround. And
really?
Now, hold on. You guys want to question us? $69.99 a month.
Damn.
Yeah. And we're like, what the heck?
They basically said, what did the five fingers say to the face?
Slap.
Slap. Slap that ass.
Smack.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
You know what they did? Remember that scene in Chappelle's show when what's his
Which
name? Rick
one?
James
Yeah.
just palms
He
what's
just-
his face's name on the bar table.
Yeah.
Kaboom! He mushed his face
Damn,
into a bar
you were
table.
that. Verizon is a Rick. It is Rick James.
Yeah.
You.
So we're like,
How's that
F
nice?
it. Just do it. Just do it. We're tired of it. But they said, hey, there's a grace period. When you first sign up with Verizon, which it counts as because it's a new contract,
Yeah.
there's a grace period of 30 days. If you don't like our service,
Okay.
money back guarantee,
Okay.
right? And you don't have to pay that cancellation fee.
I bet.
Cool. So we're like, all right, let's do that. Let's try that 30 days. We'll pay that extra $20, and then if we don't like it, we'll cancel.
Okay.
So we get that set up. They're supposed to come in today
They didn't come
from
in
the
today.
hours of 8 to 12.
We're supposed to actually podcast at his place potentially,
Yeah.
but I guess with the way he sounds, they didn't come, huh?
Yeah. So that was today. That was
Saturday,
earlier.
They come to the door.
So they're
He didn't
supposed to
drop no
call
gifts
you.
off.
Nothing.
Nothing,
So
dog.
they're supposed to call you within an hour of coming in. They don't call. It's 11 o'clock now, and I'm like, all right, that's weird. 11:05, 11:10, and then I'm like, let me just call them up.
Yeah.
I call up. Oh, no. Oh, before that, we called back up Saturday. That was Friday when we were like, all right, let's just do it. We got off the phone and we just decided, all right, let's just do what they told us. So we called Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
We get some guy from Uzbekistan representing Verizon. Saturday night, 8 p.m., right? Offices in America are closed. Let's get Uzbekistan on the line. This is urgent. So this guy says, yeah, I'll do it for you. He sets it all up for us.
Okay.
I call up today. Guess what happened? No records.
He moved.
No records.
He got shipped back to Uzbekistan.
No, he's in Uzbekistan.
Oh.
Nothing happened. There was no record
He's
of
probably
the
weightlifting
ordinary.
right now, man.
Dude, this guy's
Uzbekistan is high.
that guy probably cashed out on our credit card. Maybe. I don't know. We'll
hope
wait
not.
to see. And
I didn't think about that.
yeah. So we didn't get any. We even got an email saying that there's an order number, but there's no order number. Chances are the guy effed up.
Yeah.
Chances are the guy's
I
an
hope
idiot.
so.
And effed up. Yeah. So no order came today. So I called them back up and I was like, "Yo," I said it in the nicest way possible. Hey.
Yo.
So, I
Yo.
explained the situation. She was like confused. I'm confused. Everybody's confused. But apparently this lady's been working for Verizon for 14 years.
Okay.
And then I was on the phone for an hour.
So she's the one you were talking to when I walked in here.
Yeah. I was on the phone for an hour.
That
And then
sucks.
she called me back for another 20 minutes. And I think we're going to settle. On a deal. They're making us a deal.
Okay.
So-
Well, at least there's like kind of light at the tunnel.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
So finally, this one lady does us right, and she
Okay.
gets the supervisor, and she calls him, and
She
talks
does the
to
right
him.
thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
which she probably is the supervisor.
Yeah, she probably fixed it out.
Yeah.
Because
So-
it's important. You know why?
Why?
Because it's a big fight card this weekend, man.
What is this big fight card you speak of?
Well, it's a double header.
Okay.
Well, Albany. There's a few names I'm excited about. Actually, just two fighters, but we'll wait for K-Flow to jump on. You like that? I didn't say Ken, I said K-Flow. Like we cool like that.
Yeah.
Ken
Did you
Dog,
talk to him last time we had him on?
K-Swi. Oh, he was on last time?
You didn't know we had him on the podcast before?
No, I didn't get the memo. No, because you guys are like, oh, please do the podcast. we need a savior. We need that sultry voice, that milk chocolate type of caramel delight voice.
That Samoan Islander, that
With
Max
that
Holloway
beard, we
voice.
need- speaking of Max Holloway, can we get to Max Holloway right now?
All right, I'm calling K-Flow right now.
We good to go? Guys, stay tuned. K-Flow is about to join us in 3, 2, 1.
Not yet.
No, that's for the edit, jackass.
Oh.
So when we edit,
Dude, it's hard
we
to
cut
edit
it.
these things, man.
All right, fine. We're just going straight off the dome.
All right, you guys might hear a nice soothing call voice like grang 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 grang. Hold on one second.
Yeah. Game on, baby.
Kenny, how are you, man? Thank you for coming on the show again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
For sure, man. We always like having people like you on. A, because you're in the limelight, you're on the UFC shows and all that stuff. You're a
He's a big
UFC
dog.
veteran, but you're also deeply rooted in jiu-jitsu, which is my favorite thing to do. So thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
So, Ames, you want to get right into it?
Yeah, man. I'm pretty excited for this weekend.
Yeah.
For both fight cards. Well, more so on the Saturday fight card. But from a excitement level from 1 to 10, how souped up are you for this weekend?
I'm excited, man. I think there's some really good fights.
Okay.
I think that the Albany card. I think they chose the right main event. I don't see that one going the distance. Both those guys are definite sluggers.
Yeah.
And then for the Toronto card, it's a great fight. It doesn't have the same kind of name power that was originally scheduled, obviously, with Daniel Cormier and Anthony Johnson. And,
sure.
But I love the Pettis Holloway fight, man. I think it's a great fight, and one that's definitely going to entertain.
Sure. Do you think that was probably the best fight to make in the division? Now that we kind of have a clear understanding that Conor McGregor, the ex-champion, will no longer come down, do you think that that's one of the most exciting fights you can put together and the most important fight?
I think so. Listen, I think there's there's a lot of great 145-pounders out there. But I do think with Anthony Pettis being the former champion at 155 pounds and Max Holloway and what he's done, I mean, I think he's on a 9-fight win streak right now, which is insane considering the guys that he's faced. And Anthony Pettis for Oliveira. I think those are kind of the two names that you kind of had to put in there. I think that makes sense, and the winner of that gets to fight Jose Aldo, and then we see what happens after that.
Yeah. Sure. Who do you have coming out of that fight? Because both of them are really skilled, stand-up artists. Like, I can't really put a figure, but if I would, I'm just rooting for Holloway just because I really like him, but I just don't know who's going to come out of this fight.
Yeah, both those guys are good dudes. I think that I think Holloway has the advantage, especially with it being a 5-round fight now.
Okay.
I think with 3 rounds, I think that Anthony Pettis definitely had a good shot. I think Holloway might not be as dynamic as a striker as Anthony Pettis, maybe not as flashy, but I do think he's a better striker. I think his fundamentals are a little bit better in that he uses his footwork very, very well. He's always in the proper range. He takes calculated risks. Sometimes he gets a little crazy and just points to the center of the octagon because he wants to throw down.
That was the greatest ending. That 10-second bang out was the greatest thing, man.
Yeah, and he didn't have to do it. I mean, here's a guy who was winning the whole fight, and he just said, screw it, let's do this last 30 seconds, let's throw down, baby.
Oh,
absolutely.
So, that's the kind of guy that Holloway is.
Yeah, man.
He's an animal, man.
I actually
So I think,
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I actually reposted that 10-second clip on Instagram, not because they're throwing haymakers, but because Holloway was winning that fight, and he said, "You know what? F it, let's bang it out." Like they said in his post interview,
it takes a certain
he was
kind
like,
of
he saw it in his eyes. He was like, "Let's do the damn thing, man."
What an amazing athlete.
He's a warrior, man.
Now, Holloway's a madman, dude. He's a madman, and I think that him being a little bit taller, a little bit rangier, I think is going to give Anthony Pettis trouble. I think that Anthony's the better submission guy. I think that Anthony, submission-wise, I think is going to be better than Holloway. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pettis tries to mix it up and maybe tries to test the mat skills of Holloway.
Sure.
But Holloway just always tends to find himself in a proper range where he can stop takedowns, land his shots. Obviously, he's not going to be afraid to stand in the pocket either against someone like Pettis. So it's a very interesting fight. For me also, I think that having done 145 pounds and walking around the same as Anthony Pettis, I think it's going to be very difficult for Pettis to go 5 hard rounds. I think it's going to be tough to have that energy and that strength at 145 as he did at 155.
I believe that the difference maker in this fight will be the cardio factor because they both have their strengths with the striking. Holloway, like you said, he's always in the perfect range, but Pettis uses his movement very well, and he uses his kicks very well. So the kicks make up for the range that you might be missing, right? If you're a heavy kicker, which Anthony Pettis is, and then the grappling. Anthony's not a big takedown artist, but he likes to work on the ground. So we'll see, but I believe the fact that him having to cut weight again might take a lot out of him, and that might be the difference maker. I believe if his cardio is on point, I believe he has the tools to defeat Max, but, it can go the other way, of course.
I agree. I agree. I mean, it's a tough weight cut, and it being 5 rounds, and having done that, it is brutal on the body. And I saw Anthony about a month ago. I think he stopped by the Fox Studios, and he seemed pretty big, man. This was before, I think, just before this was announced.
Oh,
so,
shit.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for him.
No pressure.
He absolutely does have the skills to win. Yeah.
Now, from experience, you're an ex-fighter that did the same thing, that followed the same path. I mean, do you see yourself when you were fighting at 155 as big as Anthony? And do you relate that to his weight cut when you started to cut for 145?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it was probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life physically. I mean, to get down in weight and just even the whole training camp. It's almost like for me at the time, it was very difficult, especially as I got towards the end of the camp. I mean, I was eating like 1,500 calories a day, training 3 times a day, and it became about making the weight. And a fight should never be about that. Your first opponent should never be the scale. So,
Absolutely.
Now, for you, was it easier each time you fought at 145, or did it get harder to make the weight?
I did it twice. So the first time it was brutal. My kidneys were hurting, everything. I mean, I was just in tremendous amount of pain. I definitely took a peek at what death looks like.
Yeah.
And then the second time, it was harder. I don't know why. I just could not cut the weight. I mean, there was like a pound or two that was just sticking to me, and it took me like a very long time to get it off.
Wow.
And I was just stuck in that sauna forever, man.
That pound
and
is
it was
called
miserable
life.
to the point where I didn't want to be in there anymore. And I said, you know what? I got to work it. Let me work it out. Let me get on like an elliptical or a treadmill. And then I think that killed my legs because I wasn't used to that. So it was miserable, man. The whole process did not go well. And when I was warming up for the Aldo fight, my legs were already cramping. So I did I told my team, I'm like, guys, 5 minutes and I'm good on the warm up. Like I need every ounce of energy I can muster for the fight. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a quick warm up.
Now, quick question right before we move on to the next fights about professional fighting. What do you do? Because I've only done a couple of kickboxing fights and a lot of jiu-jitsu matches in competition. But what do you do? What do you eat like hours before your fight in front of millions of people? What can you stomach anything? How does that work?
How much Gatorade are you drinking?
Yeah, man. It's I would eat light. I couldn't eat a whole lot of stuff before I would go to compete. I think the process was something like I'd have like a little bit of fruit. I'd have like I think I had like some kind of like small but like high carb meal, like a little bit of oats with some berries or something like that. And then like I think 30 minutes before the fight, I'd have like some like coffee. I'd have like some coffee, and then I'd have like a tablespoon of honey just for energy and for like So I would just do that pretty much every single time.
Yeah, I know for me, right before they call you out to compete, like in jiu-jitsu, like if I compete at IBJJF or Naga or something, literally like right before they call you out, I always have to run to the bathroom. I don't know if that's like a normal thing. How often, like the nerves get to you? Is that an issue in the UFC where people?
Is the shit's a normal thing? Basically, what he's asking.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I assume so, man. I mean, I definitely I got better as time went on. I mean, the first couple times, like for the Ultimate Fighter finale, I was just like petrified. I was like warming up, and I like gasped in like 30 seconds. My body was so tense, and everything was so hectic.
Like
everything was moving so fast.
Yeah,
and I think. It's all mental. It's you have to allow yourself to be able to compete, and I think we make it a bigger process than it is, and you got to just kind of realize, listen, I'm a martial artist. This is what I do. I do compete.
Sure.
Anything can happen, and I think the more you face it, the more you come to grips with the fact that you can get knocked out, you can get submitted, you can slip it on a banana peel. You go through all those scenarios in your head, and as long as you're good with all those things, you can kind of release all the tension and just fight without that fear. And I think that's something that Conor McGregor and John Jones does so well. Yes, they are phenomenal athletes. They're good at what they do, but they have an amazing confidence in themselves and are able to delete the fear within them and just do it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Or at least come to grips. At least come to grips with the fear. I don't know if they delete the fear, but they come to grips with it, and they just
they acknowledge it.
Yeah,
you acknowledge it, and now it's not a problem because it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Whether it'll happen to you or not, you just have to trust and fully entrust your body and your training.
They hit like a relaxed phase, like Anderson Silva as well. When that cage, just like they're in attack mode, they just look so calm and cerebral, man. It's really impressive, man.
It's the most impressive in my opinion. It's the most impressive. Now moving on, a fight that I don't know has been promoted or talked about a lot, but Cub Swanson versus Doo-Ho Choi. That's going to be an incredible fight. That's probably, in my opinion, that's going to be the fight of the night. In my opinion, I don't know.
I love that you guys brought it up because Cub Swanson is such a goer, man. I mean, he's a guy who's always going to move forward. He's always looking to finish. He's very exciting to the point where he'll make mistakes and he just doesn't care. He'll do some crazy stuff in the octagon.
Yeah.
And Doo-Ho Choi, I've been on the Choi train for a little while, man. I love this kid. I think he's a knockout artist. He looks like he's like 11 years old.
The Superboy,
like he barely touches you, and people just go to sleep. And this is another guy who stays very calm. He doesn't get rattled. He has crazy knockout power. Now, we haven't really seen him on the mat. I don't know how good he is off of his back, truly. But as far as his stand-up game, man, he's so clean, so calm. And he's got crazy knockout power. He's very smart at getting the proper angles, setting you up. He can counter punch. So I think that's going to be a great fight, and I have Choi as a favorite actually heading into this against Swanson. I know Swanson's kind of at the end of his career, and I know he's not going to be content with a loss here. But I just think that Doo-Ho Choi just a little bit cleaner of a fighter. He's younger. Less miles on the body. And,
I'm with you,
I
man.
think he gets it done.
You actually I forgot what I was watching, but you put me on him because you brought him up, and I was like, who is this guy? And then I looked him up. I'm like, oh, he is a bad man. And his past two fights, I think his opponents got him to the ground, but he just looks super calm.
This guy's clean.
Yeah, he got back up, and he just, that 1-2, man.
Is he the resurrection of Conor McGregor at that weight class? Is he?
Yeah, man. He's the Korean Conor McGregor.
Yeah. We'll call him Mick Choi.
He hasn't even hit puberty yet, and he's knocking people out.
Oh, my God.
Yep. Mick Choi.
Exactly. Mick Choi, that's it. Doo-Ho Mick Choi.
That's a good one.
Is he the guy, one of these guys, they don't speak English, but they're all about like ladies and flashy stuff. Is that him?
No, that's not him. He actually fought on the last card.
Okay.
About the bitches.
Exactly. He changed his team alpha male. A Japanese fighter. He's funny too.
He's funny. Yeah. I love that. I love that. There's a lot of new fighters coming up.
Yeah, man.
And like bringing excitement and like high level martial arts to all the divisions because for a long time the divisions could stay stagnant, and then we wonder like, man, I guess there's not going to be anyone coming up, and then you get guys like Choi and just other fighters that it gets you excited. A guy like Cody Garbrandt, his fight coming up with Dominic Cruz.
Yair Rodriguez versus BJPENN. We have like so many. Oh, man.
Actually, I want to get your opinion on that fight. What is your opinion on that fight? I talked to his coach, Jason Perillo, and he said that BJ's on point with the stand-up and, he's done all the right work to get him back on track. But in your opinion, how do you see this fight going?
Geez, it's so hard mainly because we just don't know what BJPENN is going to show up. I think that has always been the issue. BJ is a guy with unlimited potential. He had so much talent. He had a lot of natural instincts that you just kind of can't teach. And I think the issue with BJ has always been BJ. How hard does he train? What's his mindset like? Is he healthy? All these things. And I think that if he is healthy and if he is motivated, if he is feeling good, he's not in his own head. BJPENN can beat anybody. It doesn't matter. 145, 155, he'll give a lot of trouble to 170 for a lot of 170 pounders today. But I think that BJ should be able to win if he has all those things in place. But Yair is a guy who's he's a tough up-and-comer. He's very fast. He kind of has a new breed of striking that we're seeing now, guys that are coming from more of a traditional martial arts striking background, like a taekwondo or karate.
Very
and it's
dynamic.
a rhythm and a movement that is a little bit unusual for a lot of guys who train in your typical boxing or kickboxing gym. So I'm curious to see how he's going to be able to handle that kind of speed, that kind of rhythm, and that kind of, I guess, for mixed martial arts, somewhat unorthodox style. And I think that, I think either way, I think it's going to be a tough fight for him.
Yeah.
But Yair, I think, is a guy that, while he is flashy and he's very dynamic with his striking, sometimes I feel like, and I was very critical of him.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Because I was very critical of him in his last fight because it wasn't, there's no real rhyme or reason to the things that he does and why he does them. And I like seeing flash. I love it. But there comes a certain point, like, he wasn't landing any of that stuff, and he must have thrown like 10 tornado kicks in a round, and I'm going, well, how about you set up over the jab?
Yeah.
How about just a one? Give me 1-1-2, at least to try to find your range.
Yeah.
And he just kept spinning and throwing and throwing all these crazy kicks, and
it's almost a waste of time and energy.
It just seemed like a little bit desperate. It seemed a little desperate.
Yeah, I hear you. It's almost a waste of time and energy, right? Like at some point, you have to acknowledge that certain things are not worth doing anymore, and let's just go back to the basics.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's like me trying to fire up a bunch of triangles and arm locks when the arm's not really there, and it looks cool, but man, stop! It's not there. It's not even there. Stop.
Give it up.
One of the things I see that could be the difference maker for BJ in that fight, and one of the things that you see in jiu-jitsu commonly is stick to the fundamentals. The fundamentals, a strong foundation can defeat the flashy, the young, the inexperienced. And that's what we see when a black belt goes against a purple belt. A purple belt does all these flashy things. They try everything that's new. They're aggressive. They're young. They're excited. They take chances. And the black belt with the experience, he doesn't do anything fancy. He just makes sure he minds his P's and Q's, underhooks, and sticks to a strong foundation of fundamentals. I believe if BJ does that and closes distance and stays with the fundamentals, I believe that could be the difference maker against a young Yair.
I agree, man. I think there are some universal truths within the fight game, within the jiu-jitsu game, that if you stick to, those will always be true. If you talk about base and balance and proper positioning, that takes care of a lot of the things. Techniques and movements will always change, but those sort of universal truths remain constant. And I think you kind of have to keep that in mind, that yes, you can do all the new stuff, you can do the crazy stuff, but there needs to be a rhyme and a reason. It needs to be set up, and you need to have those fundamental principles in mind at all times.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. Ames.
No, you were going to say something.
Oh, no.
You threw me off.
Sorry. Moving on, I wanted to get your opinion on the next Ronda Rousey fight versus the champion Amanda Nunes. How do you see that fight going? That's so exciting. It's coming up.
Oh, man. It is. It is really exciting. I'm really curious to see how Ronda Rousey comes back from this kind of adversity because, it's a tough thing that it's hard to accept all the good things that people say about you and all the bad things that people say about you because, you start to kind of believe it. But even if it's a good thing or a bad thing, you have to be very careful. And I think that Ronda may have been, drinking the Kool-Aid and accepting what all these people were saying about her. She was on every single magazine. She was on all the talk shows. She was, getting movie offers and this and that. And I think those were a lot of distractions.
Sure.
And she probably had, this crazy entourage. It's hard because, she was told this kind of lie that she was invincible. But as we all know, no one is invincible.
No one,
and I think that when she lost, it could be very devastating if she did believe that. So I'm curious to see how she comes back, how she's able to deal with this kind of adversity, and how she was able to come back from not only a loss, but a knockout loss in front of a lot of people, So
that was one of the biggest crowds.
My understanding, it was a huge crowd. There's so many people watching on pay-per-view. And my understanding is that she's only 5 pounds away from 135 already, which is very impressive. So she's very close. She's been walking around apparently at this weight now for the last week or so. And she's ready to go, apparently. So I'm curious to see, well, first of all, how she's going to approach the fight. Is she going to go in there and just, bum rush her and try to take her to the mat immediately? Is she going to try to strike with her? Is she going to take her time? Is she going to try to get the fight over with real quickly in Ronda Rousey fashion? I don't know. I think Rousey does have the ability to submit any woman in the world at 135 pounds. Obviously, I think that her striking knowledge and experience needs to be improved greatly. But I think she still has natural power to hurt Amanda. I just think Amanda is just far superior when it comes to the striking game, and she's not. Obviously, she's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so she's not going to be lost on the mat either.
No. In your opinion, if you're Ronda Rousey, when you're trying to get over the hump of what happened to her, losing her title and getting knocked out that way, do you, in an effort to kind of build yourself back up and fix yourself, do you tell Ronda, whether it's Ronda herself, her mind, or her coaches, do you say, hey, Ronda, that was just a bad fight. That just didn't go your way. Everybody has bad fights every now and then. You're still Ronda Rousey. Or do you go the route of, no, Ronda, we're believing the Kool-Aid a little too much. Let's get back to hard work. You did have a bad fight. We can acknowledge that. But also, we did have some holes in our training.
That Conor McGregor type.
Yeah. Which way do we go with, how do we fix, if you're Ronda, how do you try and fix what had happened to you to get back to... Sorry, yeah.
I would be very upfront and very honest and just tell her that, listen, it might have been a bad fight. You might have had some injuries heading into this fight. You might have had some distractions. But let's look at what's real. Let's look at the fact that you had a lot of vulnerabilities and have had a lot of vulnerabilities with your striking. There's been some holes there. We need to improve the way that you enter and take people down. And we're going to work on that. We're going to get better as a martial artist. There are improvements that need to be made. And at the elite level, if you're not all the way there and if you're not fighting, to your strengths, you're going to be in trouble. So let's make those weaknesses strengths and let's get to work. And I think that's the way you got to approach it. I never like telling fighters, if they're doing good when they're not. I just don't. I think you got to be upfront with them and take it, really approach it from a technical level and look at the technical, the insufficiencies in the game.
And that was one of the main things that was a knock on her coach after she lost. In the corner, we heard the audio and we heard how harsh he was talking, not just to her but also to Travis Brown, how he wasn't telling them the full truth. And
nothing really technical was coming out of the corner. I don't know if that was me, but it just seemed like he was just like a pep rally. Come on, you can do it, or that type of.
You're messing up. Get better.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Vague things.
Yeah, I don't really like that. Listen, I like Edmund, and maybe he knows them better than we do. I don't know, but I think that you got to approach it from a technical and tactical perspective and let them know. Okay, don't just fire them up. Don't just slap them in the face and say, hey, let's go get out there, go get them, champ. It's got to be something as far as what are you doing wrong? Yeah. How do you fix it? Let them know quickly. And then put them out there. And a lot of the work should be done in the gym, right? I think a lot of that should be done in the gym so you don't have to kind of go off for about 10 minutes. You have 1 minute to tell your fighter what they need to do or less. So it's a tricky thing being in the corner, but I definitely like the technical and tactical perspective from the corner more than the yelling stuff.
For sure. I know you got to go, but I have one more question, just as a fan.
Sure.
Well,
I got a question.
It's a two-part question. One, what is the hardest thing? What is the hardest thing about fighting at the highest level? And two, what is the hardest thing about being an analyst on live TV?
That's a good one.
Oh wow. Okay. Let's see. I think the hardest thing about being an analyst, is not caring about the fighter's feelings. Having been a fighter.
Getting butt hurt.
I know how people get sensitive, and you kind of you have to, in order to give your best analysis, you have to kind of just not give a crap about what anyone thinks. Sure. What is your actual opinion, and just state it. And if you're going to hurt someone's feelings in the process, that sucks. But you do have to give your opinion, and that's one thing I'm getting more comfortable with. It's still not easy. And as far as what do you say, competing, fighting at the highest level in the UFC?
Yes, correct.
Geez, I would say managing your training and finding what's true to you. And I think that so many times we look around and we see how other fighters are training, we see how other coaches are doing things, and we think that's the answer. The answer is within you. No, the answer is really based on how you feel, what your mentality is. How much volume of training you can handle, what kind of fighter you are, how you're built, what your mentality is like. And I think there's no coach that can really tell you that. You have to know that for yourself. And if you're like really connected to like what makes you click as a fighter, as a martial artist, then you have to base your training around that. But don't think that because everyone else is training a certain way that is the truth. Everyone is unique. Everyone is different. You need to find what's true for you, and don't let that kind of blur the lines and kind of skew that perspective for you. So you just gotta know yourself and do that as opposed to what everyone else is doing.
Wow. I agree 100%, man.
Do you, in your professional opinion, do you agree, Ames?
Yeah, I do. Like I just said that. I do. I agree.
There's some, but you look at it, you look in the gym, and there's some guys that, hey, you know what? 8 times, they'll train 2 times a day, 6 times a week, and that is like what makes them great. There's other guys that, they only need to train 4 or 5 times a week, and that's what makes them like Edwin Najmi. He only trains a few times a week, and that's like what makes him great. Other guys, they'll be in the gym 2 times a day, and that's what makes them great. But you got to know what's real for you. And also, there's like, you got to go out and make the mistakes and kind of feel what's real to you and not. And it's a trial and error process for sure.
I agree.
And shout out to Edwin Najmi for putting on a great performance at the 5 Grappling Super League. He's an amazing athlete, and I know that just because he trains, so people don't get it twisted. Just because he only trains a couple times a week does not mean he's not training in other ways, right? He's
exactly, and that he didn't put in all the years of hard training prior to that, where now he's at a level where maybe he only trains 4 or 5 times a week or something, as opposed to the other guys are killing themselves in training. So it's all different.
True.
Do what works for you, man.
Well, Kenny, we really appreciate you coming on again. You're always a pleasure to have. We are always excited to hear your opinions. You have really good opinions on fights. I always respect your opinion, and thank you for all that you do for the sport.
You guys rock. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely,
you, man.
Next time we talk, you need to help us out with our fashion game, man, because I was on your site. That's a question I wanted to ask.
It's a whole different podcast. We'll do it.
Exactly. That's a whole nother one, man. You got to help us out, brother.
All right, man. Have a good day, brother.
Take care, boys.
Hey, take care, man. Peace.
Nice. So that was Kenny Florian, guys.
K-Flow.
The guy's an animal when it comes to analyzing fights. He's really good at dissecting fights and
super technical, man.
Super technical.
And that's why I enjoy having speaking to him, because he's just super technical. He could break things down, things that I don't see as non.
And he's got a great voice.
Yeah, he does. Great hair.
Great hair, great voice.
More hair than me. On that note, guys, if you enjoyed it at all, even just a little bit, even 1%, if it made you giggle, laugh, grin,
a little
smile,
even if it gave you goosebumps,
if it gave you a little sunshine on this rainy ass day, if it's sunny over there, if it made it even more sunny,
it's not
then
rainy here.
Do one thing for us, guys.
What's
actually multiple things?
Yeah,
you know what that is?
Like, subscribe,
share, rate.
iTunes. It makes a big difference, guys.
Tell them how you feel, man.
If you guys can, go on iTunes and leave us a good review. Put in that 5-star button and then write a little review. It could be 1 sentence. Those guys are awesome. Or, oh, man, Ames needs to stop talking so Abe could speak a little bit more, because we want to hear more about him and more
Ames
from
should just
him.
have a solo show and just have Kenny on with him the whole time and call it the Ames and Kenny show.
Sure. If that's your case.
Okay, cool, guys.
Write on iTunes and leave that review, guys. And please, we really appreciate it if you do that. If we find out that you did it,
Give you some love.
We'll give you some love. We'll give you a shout out. Say, hey guys, I left a review on iTunes. Leave a, go to our Instagram, Show the Art Podcast, and comment on one of the pictures. Hey guys, look, I left a review on your iTunes. Let me get a shout out, bro. Hey, you never know. I might even send you a free T-shirt.
We get a shout out, bro.
Yeah. So guys, please, we really appreciate it. We can't do this without you guys. And if you know anybody that would love to be a guest on our show that has some interesting stories to share, please just, comment once again on Instagram
hit us up.
or
Let
hit
us
us
know.
up. Yeah. Boom.
We out. Oh.
www.showtheart.com. Holla at your boy.